Tony, you don't have to... No, I do. I really respect your opinion, and I know that's not the kind of person my dad would want me to be.
I'm gonna stay ahead of the bad guys, save lives, and protect my friends. Pretty awesome, huh?
Awesome doesn't even begin to describe it, Tony. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you merry Marvelites, to another very exciting video relating to the upcoming Iron Man game that is currently in development by Motive Studios. So as you might have already expected, we are still in the very early stages of learning more about this Iron Man game, especially considering that Motive themselves have previously confirmed that the project as a whole is still in the pre-production phase, and certainly means that the game itself is definitely a ways off from release. But on the bright side, while this game might be a ways away, Motive Studios themselves have done an incredible job of keeping the fans updated by talking more about the game in depth in various press releases. And if you want to know what they've already said about this Iron Man game, definitely be sure to check out my previous videos, which I will leave as a link in the description below. But today we do have another very interesting article from them, which does dive a bit deeper into the game studio's creative vision that they do have for a character like Iron Man. So if you're someone like me who is beyond hyped for this Iron Man game, then definitely be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for any and all updates on this project. So coming from a tweet that Motive Studios made directly, is that they go on to state that Dead Space was the first thing in order for us to step up and have more ambition. And then with Iron Man, we've got the opportunity to take things to a whole new level. Our general manager sat down with Eurogamer to talk about the history and future of Motive. And to clarify ahead of time before we dive into the article is that it does analyze a few points that I may have already referenced in previous videos covering this game, but it does offer a lot more insight as to what exactly their main vision is for this project and how they're going about the development process for it. And unfortunately, there are a bit of details here that seem to indicate that this Iron Man game might in fact not be open world. But we will dive into that a little bit later, because the first line I do want to analyze here is that at the beginning, it was a little bit complicated. I'm not gonna lie. Coming from Patrick Klaus, who again is the general manager of Motive Studios. And coming from the words of the author directly is that we're talking via Zoom following another public briefing from his team on its upcoming Dead Space remake, which is Motive's eagerly anticipated revival of the space-set survival horror series, which is due out on the 27th of January. But the purpose of our chat is far broader than Dead Space, taking in Motive's past and looking to its future, where a massive new Iron Man game, which is the studio's most ambitious project yet by far, now sits on the horizon. Motive has been boosted over the past year by its progress, which has shown off via relatively transparent looks into the game's development that Klaus says have generated useful constructive feedback and positive energy. It's a healthy kind of cycle, he notes, and one he'd like to see repeated with the studio's big Iron Man project in the future. This was partly why the studio announced its Marvel project so early, while it is still in pre-production. Other factors here were a desire to recruit staff to help make it, and, which is something that I personally called out in one of my previous videos, as an attempt at getting ahead of leaks. Though you can't do that, I've accepted you can never get ahead of leaks, Klaus admits. Which, in my opinion, I definitely think is a smart move, considering that they don't want any more massive information about this game to leak in advance. So officially announcing the game as early as possible, even though we don't even have a trailer for it, is definitely an intelligent move on Motive's part. And as Klaus goes on to highlight, it's the opportunity of a lifetime. Taking a beloved superhero IP and having the opportunity over the coming years to do a fully fledged big AAA action-adventure game within the fantasy of Iron Man. We take it very seriously. It's also a little bit daunting, right? Because it is going to be big, and there's going to be a lot of expectations from millions of players. We're going to keep the thread that I'd say has become part of our DNA, to treat the IP with both confidence and humility and passion. And again, hearing how humble they are towards the creative process of this game, as well as the character of Iron Man in general, definitely gives me a whole lot of confidence to see their overall vision for this character come to life within the video game space. And to provide a little bit more analysis on the already provided info for this game, is that the Iron Man project will tell a completely new Iron Man story. Though beyond that, Klaus isn't giving much away. The gameplay opportunities are really exciting. So you have Tony Stark, you have Iron Man, and I can just let you imagine what kind of gameplay opportunities could come from that. It needs to be big. It needs to have innovation. and it needs compelling storytelling. But the most interesting element that I took away from this article actually relates to one of the last lines of dialogue that we do receive from Klaus, where he goes on to state, "We need time to try certain things and to make sure we land on a creative vision and creative direction that's going to be fresh, unique, and have differentiators from some of these other Marvel games or existing action RPG games." That's a big focus before we move into production. So right there, as Klaus points out, which I find extremely admirable on their part, is that they are looking at all the other previous Marvel games that have released in the past to see what worked well and what didn't, as well as analyzing specific action RPGs. Like we already know from the official press release for this project, is that the Iron Man game is in fact going to be a single-player, story-driven, third-person action-adventure game, which conveniently leaves out one of the biggest elements that could relate to any Iron Man game, is whether or not it could be open world. And based on everything that we know about this game right now, as well as the previous games that Motive have developed, it doesn't look like that this Iron Man game is going to be open world, and instead it is going to be more of a single-player action-focused RPG, which might feel a bit similar to the recently released Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, in my opinion, especially after having to suffer through the terribleness that was Marvel's Avengers, I am a little bit disappointed in knowing that this fully standalone Iron Man game doesn't look like it's going to be open world in the slightest. But on the flip side, you do have to look at what Motive previously accomplished with Star Wars Squadrons, which made the flying mechanics in that game feel absolutely incredible, and wasn't open world by any means. So if Motive is able to set out their creative vision to make an Iron Man game embody everything that makes Tony Stark so special, while also making the main flying mechanics for a character like Iron Man extremely fun, without being placed in an open world setting, would definitely be a huge feat of achievement if they are able to pull it off properly. But again, we will just have to wait and see exactly what this game will turn into by the time we see footage of it in action. And with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What did you think of this brand new Motive Studios interview coming from Patrick Klaus, and did this make you even more or less excited for this Iron Man game? For me personally, this has easily become one of my most anticipated superhero games, especially learning more about the visionary process that Motive have for a character like Iron Man immensely makes me even more interested to see exactly how their overall process is going to shape up. And somehow, if all else fails, I'm just hoping that this game will be a better experience than what Marvel's Avengers was. And with all that said, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more videos on this Iron Man game in the future. And without further ado, peace out.